Hi, welcome, and thanks for tuning in. This is Samir, and this is the series of videos where we talk about meditation. So, are you ready to learn something more about meditation today? So, let's get started. In today's video, we are going to answer two very important questions that many of the beginner meditators face. And the first question is, how do you pick the location for meditation? And what I mean is, which part of your residence, which part of your house or apartment should you pick for meditating? Whether it's which room, which closet, which corner, things like that. So that's the first question we'll try to answer. And the second question is, what's the correct posture? What's the right posture or a better posture for meditation? Does one have to sit down on the floor in a cross-legged position, or is chair okay? So things like that. We'll try to answer that question as well today. So let's start with the question about location. How should I pick the location within my residence? Which room should I pick, or whether can I pick a closet or a corner or not? So there are two important factors to consider when picking the location for meditation in any area or any building or any residence. And the most important factor is you should pick a location which has the minimum amount of sound distraction, because at least in the beginning phases of meditation, it is very crucial that you minimize the amount of sound distraction that you get at the place or location of meditation. So this means if your residence is on a busy street, then you want to pick a room that's farthest away from the street, or you want to pick a corner or a closet that's farthest away from the busy street, so that you minimize the amount of sound that you get from the traffic or vehicles on the street. This also means you want to pick the room or the area of your residence where you get minimum amount of sound from people talking or music playing or things like that. And so that I would say is the most important factor to consider. The next factor to consider is the visual distraction. You want to pick the location where you get the minimum amount of visual stimulus, means where you are likely to see minimum amount of things moving in front of you. Now, the visual distraction is not as important as sound distraction. Why? Because for us, it's easier to control the visual distraction. If we have to control the sound distraction, of course, we can always close our ears by putting fingers in our ears, but it's easier for us to just close our eyes and control the amount of visual input that we received compared to putting fingers in our ears and closing our ears. And when I mention these things, I also assume that it's not possible for all of us to close our eyes and meditate. Although that's the recommended way, just because closing your eyes minimizes the amount of visual input. It actually zeroes out visual input when you close your eyes, and closing eyes is very easy and obvious thing for us. So if you can close your eyes, that's the best. Then the visual distraction is already taken care of and you don't have to worry about that. So then you only focus on the sound distraction for picking the location. But for example, if you are the kind of person who cannot close your eyes, because for many people when they try to close their eyes, they feel panic or they become anxious or they get like lots of thoughts, because it seems like for some reason just the field of vision is kind of blocking out these things for them, maybe blocking out things for them. So if you are that kind of person, then we have to kind of figure out a way how we can work with that being a problem. And in that case, we allow the eyes to be kept open. We can keep the eyes open, but then again, to minimize the amount of distraction for meditation, we want to select a location where we are not facing an open or a glass window. Because we are facing something like a window, then we are likely to see things moving outside, and that will be the distraction. So you don't want to sit facing a window or some open area, but you want to sit facing probably a wall, because things are less likely to move when you sit facing a wall. And you may want to choose, if it's possible, you want to choose a wall that's more plain and less decorations, because if you see the images, that can trigger thoughts and things like that. So you do want to prefer a plainer wall if you have one. But if you don't have an empty wall, then it's okay to sit facing a wall with decorations. So again, as you can see, the idea is to minimize distraction, because that's the key for doing meditation. Because in meditation, we are going to train our attention so that we want to set up things so that we minimize the sound distraction, we minimize the visual distraction, we minimize the distraction from all other senses, sense of touch or smell and things like that. So you want to kind of address all those other sensory input as well, but the most important are the sound and the vision, I would say. Although it can be argued that you do want to minimize the distraction from sense of smell, so you want to pick an area of your residence where you are not likely to have like very strong fragrances around. And this may conflict with what your understanding of meditation, because you may have heard or seen people use something like incense while they meditate, and that's not at all necessary. If it helps you somehow keep focused, be concentrated on some object, you can do that, but that's really not necessary, and it can easily become a distraction if there is like a new fragrance or aroma that's around you. So and I also assumed that obviously you don't want to kind of receive the tactile stimulus, means you don't want something touching you kind of repetitively or things like that. Of course, when you sit down, there will always be things that you'll be touching, but then there'll be like it'll be a constant, it'll be a static thing. So you will touch your chair or floor, and then it'll not be changing. So that way, it's not really a distraction. It's less of a distraction. So as you can see, you want to mainly focus on the sound distraction. Pick a part of your residence where there's least amount of sound possible. Closet can be a very good choice sometimes, because you may be able to close your closet, and then that can help minimize the sound distraction. A corner of the room that's farthest away from a busy street is a good choice. Bathroom can be a perfectly valid choice, if again assuming that you're able to set up some area where you can put your cushion or chair or whatever you're using for your meditation. So again, sound is most important, but then you're going to take care of the visual input and the stimuli from the sense of smell. You want to consider that. You don't want to have like a strong fragrance or things around you, because that can be a distraction. So those are the things to consider for choosing the location, picking the location for doing meditation in your household. That was question number 1. So let's move on to question number 2, and that's about the posture for meditation. What's the right posture? What's the best posture for meditation? And again, there is no right or wrong answer. There are like so many types of different meditations, and there are sometimes suggested, recommended postures. But there's no really a rigid answer here. There's not really a right or wrong answer. All postures are valid, but I will tell you how to approach this question, what to consider when trying to answer this question. So the most important thing to consider when trying to answer the question of posture is you need to pick a posture that minimizes your chances of falling asleep. That's the key, that's the most important factor to consider, because sleep is wonderful, but sleep is not meditation. So you want to select a posture where you are less likely to fall asleep. It has been said that ever since the light bulb was invented, we have been sleeping less and less, and we tend to be more and more sleep deprived because we have been sleeping less. And meditation is an activity which induces relaxation. And as soon as you start engaging in meditation, there is a inherent physiological response of relaxing. And many people use meditation for relaxation because it can be an immediate side effect. So what happens is if you're sleep deprived and you start meditating and it induces relaxation, so the body thinks that it's time to fall asleep. So it tends to make you fall asleep. That's why we want to choose a posture that minimizes the chances of our falling asleep. So most of that means we normally don't do lying down a meditation. We don't pick lying down on the floor posture. Sitting on the floor is okay. You can sit on the floor, but again, you don't have to cross your legs. You can leave your legs in any posture where it feels comfortable to you. And in a few minutes, I will show you a posture which is like the most likely to be of help when you choose the sitting on the floor posture. Means I'll show you how to keep your legs, how to not cross them, but how to keep them in front of one and the other. Sitting on the chair is also okay. You can choose to sit on the chair. Sitting on the floor is not better than sitting on the chair. Sitting on the chair is an equally legitimate meditation posture as sitting on the floor. So feel free to do that. Standing up is also okay. If you don't like sitting on the floor or chair, and many people have injury on their tailbones and things like that, they prefer standing up, and that's perfectly okay. That's again a perfectly legitimate posture for meditation. So you can choose any of this. Use of cushion is, you don't want to sit long on the hard floor, so cushion is recommended. You don't have to buy any specific cushion, any fancy type of meditation cushion. Most of the cushions that you already have in your household should work just fine. It just, when you use a cushion, you have to kind of scoot in the front of the cushion so that your knees fall down, and I will demonstrate you in a moment what I mean. But that's the only thing you have to take care of when choosing a cushion. So I hope I summarized that there's no right or wrong posture. You need to select a posture that minimizes your chances of falling asleep. And that's the key, and that's the most important factor to consider. But the other factor to consider is you don't want to be too stiff when you are trying to meditate. Sometimes you may have seen images where people are sitting and meditating, but they are sitting with their back upright, so they are sitting in what seems like a stiff posture. But they're not really sitting very stiff, even though it may feel like that. And the reason is that trying to sit very stiff is not a natural state of the body, and in order to maintain that stiffness, you'll have to put some effort. You'll have to put a continuous effort to maintain that stiffness, and that will become a struggle. That in itself will become a distraction. So you don't want to be too stiff, and you don't want to be too relaxed either, because if you sit too relaxed, then you will tend to doze off, fall asleep. So you want to kind of, there is a kind of a balance there that you may have to kind of practice a little to figure that balance out. So that's the another thing to consider besides the not falling asleep is don't be too stiff when you choose a posture to meditate. So having said that, let me demonstrate some of the postures, and I'll show you, we'll begin with sitting on the chair, and then later on I'll begin what are the things to consider when using a cushion and sitting on the floor. So let's go over and do that. So let's first consider sitting on a chair. As you can see, it's better to choose a chair with cushion. Sitting on a chair is a valid meditation posture, just as valid as sitting on the floor or a cushion. As you can see, you can place your hands wherever they feel comfortable. It can be on your knees, or it can be in your lap. It can be like the way shown, but it doesn't have to be. You can have one palm on top of another one. So just make yourself comfortable on the chair. Now let's look at the side view of the chair so that I can show you how to keep your back upright. So you don't want to lean forward like this, because that will cause you to lean more and maybe fall asleep. You don't want to slouch like this either. This is called the TV watching posture. So that's also, it's more likely to induce more relaxation and cause you to be sleepy. So you don't want to do that. You preferably don't want to rest against the support of the chair. If you have to, you can do that. But again, this is like a more relaxed pose. So again, it's more likely to induce sleepiness. That's the only reason I would recommend not doing that. But again, if you have sore back or something, you may rest against the back of the chair. Now you want the upright posture, but not too stiff. So as you can see, I'm trying to be like super stiff here. That would not help, because that's difficult to maintain. So you don't want to do that. You want to be upright, but not too stiff. So if you feel that you are kind of pushing or efforting to make yourself upright, then it's more likely that you are very stiff. So you want to move away from that. So something that's straight, your back is straight, that's neither too stiff nor too relaxed. That's what we are looking at. Now let's look at the cushion. Now what you're seeing here, the cylindrical cushion, it's called zafu. And typically you don't put zafu directly on the floor. There is one more cushion that you first put on the floor, which is called zabuton. The zabuton is actually more like the regular chair cushion, but it's an extra large and extra thick chair cushion. And then you put zafu on top of that. But here what you're seeing is a mattress under the zafu. And that's exactly what I recommend, using a mattress. So you can put your zafu on your bed. And that's one of the ways to meditate. Put the zafu on your mattress or bed rather than getting a zabuton. This is the regular cross-legged posture. If you don't do anything fancy and if you just try to sit on the floor, you may end up this way. Your right foot is under the left thigh and left foot is under the right shin. Next, we are going to see the half lotus cross-legged position, where I'm going to lift my right foot and move it over to the left thigh. And that's the only change I do. This is the half lotus position. Half lotus cross-legged position. And now I'm going to show you a full lotus cross-legged position. So for that, I am first putting my left foot over my right thigh and then just kind of wiggling out the right foot in the front and taking the right foot and putting it on the left thigh. So each of the foot is on the opposite thigh. That's the full lotus cross-legged position. Again, this is not required. One can explore this posture if one is interested, but it's not necessary. Now take a look at this posture. If you want to do sitting meditation, this is a recommended posture. All I'm doing is I'm not crossing legs on each other, rather than I'm putting legs one in front of another one. I'm putting my right foot in front of my left foot. Both knees are folded, one foot in front of the other one. And you can change the order. You can have your left foot in front of the right foot. Now let's look at the side view of the sitting posture so that you can get a better idea of how to keep the back upright. And I placed zafu directly on the floor so that you can clearly see as I scoot back and forth over this zafu. And to begin with, the center of the gravity for the body, or the pressure center, is in the middle of the zafu. And you can already see how knees are nicely falling in the front. They're slanted. You can see knees are touching the floor in the front. That's what you want. You don't want to hold your knees. You just want them to naturally fall. And now I scoot back. I try to shift the center of pressure towards the back part of the zafu. And as you can see, the knees are lifted up a bit. That is not recommended. That is not good. Now you are having to hold your knee and muscles in the leg more. And that having to hold can be a distraction in your meditation. This may not be obvious that much just by looking at the posture, but it'll become obvious once you start sitting for longer periods of time. And as you can see, I kind of scoot up a little bit, and now the knees are again nicely falling in the front. And that's what we'll look for. Not having to hold the knees or the muscles in the leg, and let the gravity do the work and have knees fall in the front, touch the ground in the front. And that brings us to the end of this video. So thanks a lot for watching this video, and please engage, ask questions, make comments, and I will see you soon in a new video. So thank you. Bye.